Welcome back viewers, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries and anyone with ears or other sound detection organs. Hope you enjoy. We are continuing with Chaos and Mayhem written by Lord Henry 7878. There is a link to the playlist in the doobly-doo. Chaos and Mayhem, a sexy space babes story part 29. Uncle Bill was fucking furious. Once Tom was in the clinic for a while, he'd peered in and was relieved to see the doctors working on his hand. However, he came back later that evening and found Tom chained to the radiator. It was a while, but he waited until the dock closed up for the night, then kicked in a window. "Tom?" he whispered. "Tom? Uncle Bill." Tom rattled his handcuffs a little to show that, indeed, he was chained up. Uncle Bill followed the voice. There he was, chained right to the radiator. "What happened to you?" "Turns out our vet friends are pretty loyal to the eggplants. They were gonna turn me over to them after the hand." "Right." Uncle Bill didn't see any keys or whatnot. The gears in his head were already turning. He had an idea. An awful, devious, fun idea. "Sit tight. I'll have you out of here by tomorrow morning, Kay? And, let's make a bet. I can get the doctor arrested before she opens up tomorrow. I win, you drive and I sleep in the passenger seat. For a week." Tom nodded. "Deal." Okay, so the practice closed at 6, and opened at 8. That meant he had 14 hours to work his miracle. Step 1, he had to set up a few things for verisimilitude. He stormed back out the window to his car and drove off. He'd passed by a morgue on the way here, so he went for that. Uncle Bill pulled up to the morgue and, after paying off the guard and coroners, made his way inside. He grabbed a saw from the tray of tools and slid out a few of the drawers. "Let's see," he muttered to himself as he selected a body. "Perfect," he added as he sawed the hand off of one corpse. A bit of muscle from that corpse, the liver from another, maybe a dick, that one had a nice tongue. Once Uncle Bill had his grisly acquisitions, he stored them in a cooler. Now it was back to the vet's office. Uncle Bill waved to Tom as he opened Dr. Ali's fridge and stashed the body parts inside. 13 hours to go. Step 2, deal with the flunky. Out of curiosity, Uncle Bill had followed the giant as he left the other day. There were 3 places he would likely go, from what he had seen: his home, the gym, or the bar. The gym was closed, so that left the bar. Uncle Bill went there. Sure enough, Ox's car was there. Uncle Bill pulled out his knife. It was time to cut the brakes. Then he saw the Marines. It would be so easy to combine this step and the next. He stepped into the bar, sidling up to the off-duty Marines. And swallowed his pride. This is just work, he told himself. Sex had been a part of espionage since the human race had the concept of either. Didn't mean he didn't feel like a scumbag taking advantage of someone like that. He just hoped the Marines liked a silver fox, or were desperate. Oh ladies. 3 hours later, Uncle Bill lay there, squished between mounds of flesh. He'd had to pop a little blue pill to get the boy going, but he assured the girls it was just because he was old, not their fault. The shill didn't seem big on pillow talk, and that suited him. "Hey, anything you need, oldie, let us know," one said. "Yeah, we take care of our own," the other added. From his position with his face in her chest, Uncle Bill could feel her vocal cords vibrating. Well, actually, Uncle Bill got up. Where were his pants? "There is something. Dr. Ali?" "The vet?" "She's a..." His voice got real quiet as if someone was listening in. What was the shill word? Yes. A boy busher. What? Really? The 2 girls started getting their clothes back on. Yeah. She loves that shit. Bet you'll find some fucked up shit at her clinic too. As the girls got dressed and left, Uncle Bill chuckled to himself. 10 hours. Now for the last step. Can't promise anything, the one Marine said, pulling her shirt back on as she headed out, but we'll let the captain know. Once Uncle Bill was dressed, he stepped out and made a beeline for the clinic. There were a few last-minute details he had to arrange before busting Tom loose. Namely, a bit of verisimilitude. Now, he couldn't just smear the gore from the body parts everywhere. The blood was basically gel by now. But this was a veterinary clinic in a farm town. He found a gallon of pig's blood and sloshed it everywhere before heading back out. Tom was still high, so Uncle Bill basically carried him out to the car with 9 hours to go. He had time. It couldn't hurt, so Uncle Bill went back inside and touched up a few final details. "What did you do?" Tom slurred through the drugged-up haze in his skull. "CIA stuff," Uncle Bill explained. "Sometime tomorrow morning, the good doctor's gonna be arrested for being a serial killer." "Badass," the boy slurred some more. "Or at least cannibalism." "Sweet. Anyways, I think they managed to fix the hand, but I still got a lot of work." The one was saying I'd need shill medicine for the nerve damage. "Think I'll need a fake ID for that." Uncle Bill was impressed Tom figured that all out while still high. "I think I know where to get one. We'll talk to the toy maker."
At about 2 in the morning, a group of Marines pulled up outside the clinic.
Secured the scene, the others went inside. Captain Garavics, however, wasn't convinced. She knew Dr. Ali, she may have been bitchy at times, but her heart was in the right place. She was most certainly not a boy busher. She was even fixing up the junkie who broke into her house to steal drugs, for fuck's sake. That all went out the door when a pair of Marines wandered back out the door, looking terrified. "Captain?" "What is it, Corporal?" "You need to see this." One of the Marines gestured for the captain to follow her while the other yanked off her helmet and vomited on the ground. "Oh goddess," Garavics hurried in after the stronger-stomached Marine, following her to the basement. What she found there tested even her stomach's strength. In the basement sat a refrigerator with odd-looking pieces of meat inside. The captain leaned in to take a look, and immediately wished she hadn't. The smell was revolting and the meat looked like human body parts. Closer inspection around the room revealed a pair of bloody handcuffs and a gore-splattered saw. Oh, and some of the body parts had human meal-sized chunks cut out. Captain Garavics couldn't believe she was saying this. Have Dr. Ali Maines arrested for murder and possibly cannibalism. We can't let her hurt anyone else.
Agent Nineveh, meanwhile, was preparing for her meeting with OL Robot Hands herself, Shay Shay Heron.
She walked into the meeting room and set her new Omnipad down. As part of the security on this old tub, all officials intending to meet with prisoners had to turn in their Omnipads and were given prison pads. Nineveh accessed her Nexus files, what humans called cloud storage, and pulled up her list of questions and points she needed to make. The door buzzed, and Harin walked in. She looked way different from the picture Rishi had given her. Gone was the Marine uniform and sniper rifle. Instead, the muscular young woman wore a distinctly human-looking prison uniform and orange jumpsuit. Perks of being on Earth, she mused. She couldn't help but note the cybernetic hands. They were cuffed. A guard attached the cuffs to the table as Harin sat down. She Harin, Agent Nineveh noted. I am Agent Nineveh. Interior. Robot Hands interrupted. Took you long enough. Gonna finally disappear me? Like all those other men? Sorry, what? This was an interesting development. Nineveh tugged at the string, seeing where it lead. What men? When I was at Rolamschelle, before the riot. Harren took a deep breath. Prisoners' men always disappeared. At first I thought it was just, prison stuff. Prisoners killing each other, stuffing each other in vents, escaping. Prison stuff. And yeah, that all happened, enough that I thought that was all the rest of the disappearances too. But it wasn't, was it? Nineveh tapped something out on her pad. She Harren shook her head. I found a data drive one day. Must have fallen out of someone's pocket. I put it in my Omnipad and browsed a few files to see if I could figure out who it belonged to. She sounded as if what she read disturbed her. You found something? Harren nodded. It was a file called Selections. The head guard and the warden were working with the interior on something called Purity Control. The document was basically a list of prisoners and their medical histories. It laid out whether each one was eligible to be transferred to Purity Control or not. Is that why you aided the prisoners during the rioting? Nineveh was fascinated by the psychology of so-called traitors. Sure, there was always someone who turned to the other side for money or because of some personal slight, but there were always those who had legitimate reasons to do so. Finding out your superiors were involved in some shady program seemed like a pretty decent reason. No, Harren looked like she was going to cry now. My parents, they are super religious. They don't like cyborgs. After I lost my hands a tear rolled down her face. I'm no longer part of the family. I'm sorry. Nineveh was aghast. So it was an act of rebellion against those who wronged you? And others? Was there any hope, maybe, of being accepted by the rebels? A new family of sorts. I don't know, Harren sniffled. I wasn't thinking about it. The questioning went on for another hour or so, but Nineveh didn't really turn up anything more. Eventually she stood up. Harren? What? Thank you for your time. You've given me a lot to think about. I'll see about getting you better accommodations. And with that the interior agent turned and left. Once she regained her Omnipad and signed out, Nineveh got in the transport. She called up Commander Rishi and Agent Tanu. Agents Nineveh and Tanu, the commander said. Did you learn anything while I suffered through hospital food? I interviewed Shii Harren, Nineveh said. She told me about something she discovered at the prison. The head guard and warden were transferring prisoners to something called Purity Control for the interior. She noticed a slight change in Rishi's expression. Something had spooked her, but this wasn't something to discuss over the datanet. This was cryptocurrency, but nothing was 100% secure. Better to cut out the middlewoman, so to speak. I found references to Purity Control as well, Tanu added. And a few of the projects under its banner. An odd amount of them were public health projects. Now there's a question for you. Why would the interior, of all people, devote millions of credits, experiment on prisoners, and go to all this trouble to preserve their secrecy, all for, I don't know, a revolutionary new mental health treatment? There's something else going on. No doubt, Rishi said. Do either of you have your next move? I do, Nineveh said. I'll look into the warden and head guard's communications. Easier said than done, Tanu admitted. They were both killed rather messily. Observe. 2 pictures blooped up on Nineveh's Omnipad. One showed the warden lying on her desk, her eyes gone, dark blue, almost black blood oozing from the sockets. The other showed the head guard, one of the Stamatios brood, Nineveh had to note. Her corpse had been found walled up in a hallway somewhere. That made the 3 of them collectively shudder. You'd have to pull the recordings off the Nexus. Done. I'll look into the Stamatios family too. Nineveh added that to her mental list. I'll look deeper into this Purity Control stuff. Some of it's pretty shady. but the science here, it's revolutionary. Like, this mental illness thing, that was based on human science. It seems the humans have a grasp of neurology we never would have thought of. I'll go talk to human neurologists as well. Like, treating PTSD is one thing, but actually disabling the neurons responsible? This could revolutionize medicine if we allowed it, or be easily abused. Oh, think I answered my earlier question? You done? It was clear to Nineveh that Tanu found what he had uncovered incredibly fascinating. End of chapter. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss any episode, and do all the other YouTube stuff. Visit and support the author. All the relevant links are in the doobly-doo, and comment your opinions, good or bad. And I'll see you next time. And as usual, have a wonderful day.